Okay, so I'm joined by Gaffer Ross Jenkins, day before Hendon. What are your final takeaways from the Chelsea game we had just recently?
Lots of good signs, good promising signs. We've done a debrief today on it. Loads of positive clips in there. Obviously the goals definitely avoidable. We definitely addressed those. Obviously Charlie O'Connell, delighted for him to get a hat-trick, even though sort of being that holding centre mid, I didn't anticipate that happening. But he's took his goals really well. He's ended up in the right position, so there's positives in there. But I thought we controlled elements of the game really well. We frustrated them at times from their goal kicks, definitely. They ended up kicking it out of play for maybe 6-7 times in the game, just from us being well structured behind. But yeah, I mean the disappointing factors were probably just the goals conceded, really, because they were quite soft. But overall, I thought the boys put in a real shift against a real strong Chelsea team. So loads of positives in there that we can take into the next game now.
Yeah, and obviously you've got a quick turnaround. That's probably ideal for you just to get yourself up to pace for the season.
Yeah, I mean the boys love the games. I love games as well. Obviously the quick turnaround means there's not much recovery time, so we have to be wise with that and make sure we look after their bodies. But at the same time, it is pre-season still, so we have to stress them. We have to make sure they get the work done. They put in a big shift and effort against Chelsea, and they've got to do the same against Hendon now. So yeah, it's important that we take all the positives from it. The fitness is getting topped up. But I thought definitely parts of the game against Chelsea, it looked really promising. There's some really nice passages of play. We made it into the final third quite easily at times, but it's just that final pass or that final decision making that on another day we could probably score another one. So it's important to look at those games and reflect on it, but at the same time we're going into Hendon game as fresh as possible and trying to put in a real shift and go again. That's football. We've had a good game against Chelsea, means nothing now, it's done. We've got to go to Hendon now and put another performance in, which the boys, I'm sure they definitely will.
Yeah, and obviously it's 3 unbeaten now, which is obviously a good stat in itself. Is it kind of the ideal scenario for you going into obviously the season starting in just under 2 weeks? Yeah,
good habits, whether that's winning or drawing, taking those as positives. We've had some really tough games, I've said that previously, but they're not there to try and expose the boys, they're there to stress them and to make them fitter and better. And I thought the Chelsea game was definitely a good test, one that the boys stood up to. But yeah, I mean, good habits. Winning games of football is a good habit. If you can't win, take a draw. So we're going to Hendon in sort of good spirits. We've got to make sure the boys are prepared mentally and physically. I'm anticipating it to be a nice hot day again. So we've got to look at that and manage that. But it'll be the same for both teams. So yeah, we look to replicate something similar to the Chelsea game, but maybe tidy up on some of the errors that we made, because they're sort of our doing, not Chelsea's doing. If we can do that and go and score goals, we'll have a good game. Yeah,
and obviously some first minutes for Lee on the weekend. Are you expecting sort of a bit of variation again and get him back in the starting lineup or get him some more minutes?
Yeah, definitely, most definitely. He's missed a little chunk of pre-season with a niggle, so it's important to get him topped up now. I thought he came on and looked after the ball really well, looked nice and bright, and that's what we want. We want players to come and affect the game. So it's about getting his minutes up now, making sure we get him back fit, do some work in training with him in games, all prep for the 10th really. So yeah, it's good to have him back on the pitch. He adds that presence, that figure up top, and he'll definitely be used in season with the physicalities that he does have to hopefully benefit the team. So yeah, he's done well in pre-season so far. Obviously he missed that chunk, but to get him back on the pitch was a pleasing sign.
Yeah, obviously the news is out as well now. We have signed another forward, added a bit of squad depth, Abdul Malik. What's your thoughts on the new lad coming in? Are we going to expect to see him tomorrow at all? Or?
Yes, yeah, definitely get some minutes with the boys. Try and get into the group as quick as possible. The boys have made him feel really welcome today. We didn't have too much of a big session today. It was a bit of a tick over, a bit of a light one. But just to get him in the building, get him around the dressing room, the boys getting around him, he'd add something different to us. He's a quick boy. He's a lot of power behind him. Very exciting attacking player. So it'll be really interesting to see what he does tomorrow in the spell that he does play. And hopefully develop him as well. But at the same time, he needs to come in and affect the team, which I hope he will, and I'm sure he will.
Yeah, cool. All right, thank you, Ross.
Cheers.